Okay, everybody. So for those of you who don't know the other gentleman on the side of the screen, it is Ray Rivera with EXP. What's the name of your team? The Rivera Group?
The Rivera Group, yes.
Rivera Group. So Ray is very near and dear to my heart because you began your journey in real estate with me. And one of the reasons that I have asked Ray to be on a panel last week was because I actually got to live and breathe your lead generation and your skill in lead generation, which was amazing and still is, I'm sure. But it is a hard skill that a lot of people don't embrace. And I saw you really embrace it a long time ago. And so Ray was on our lead generation panel last week and comes from a completely different perspective from a lot of people who do their business. I know you do business by referral, but you have actually like a unique way into how you're getting your business by referral. So I just want to deep dive into that, ask a couple of questions and go from there.
Let's do it.
Okay. So kind of just summarizing what you shared the other day on the panel. You now have a team, which I love. But a lot of your business, when you tell us the journey, like you started out lead generating, who were you calling? What were you doing? And then now what does your lead generation look like today to build your business?
Sure. So when I started out, 2016, I did a whole lot of lead generation specifically to expireds. So that was my one thing. And that was it. It was minimum of an hour, usually closer to 2 hours, because it was a lot of calls. In addition, it was a lot of new calls, follow-up calls, and then data entry, text messages, programming, appointments, and then actually going to the appointments, because sometimes, especially when you expireds, you might go out that same day. So that was my one thing, was expireds.
Yeah. So you started in expireds, which is where I started as well. You learned how to talk to them and provide value to someone who was upset that their house didn't sell a lot of times. So you really, what I admire about you, and those of you who don't know Ray, he knows those dialogues and he has them in a authentic way, conversational way, not a robotic, scripty type of way, which is the gold in expireds, I believe. So tell me kind of where you are now. Like, do you still do expireds?
So I strayed away from expired probably right around 2018. So I knew the market was shifting because, respectfully, when you start pulling up into a listing appointment and you see 20 other agents and the 3 or 4 of those are brand new, I knew who my competitors were. And I'll give her a shout out. Her name is Stephanie Brown. She was my number one. I love her. I love Stephanie. Tell her I said hello. So I would never forget, there was a listing appointment I took and Stephanie's walking out. She had a Cadillac at the time and she's walking out. She goes, "Good luck, Ray." Puts her hand up. I give her a clap. And I walk in and she's walking out. And that's the type of synergy we had. Like, I looked forward to maybe potentially competing with her because she's a good agent. And when I saw, respectfully, new agents who I knew for a fact, just don't have the statistics, don't have the skills, they don't have anything, right? The experience. And they're meeting with this individual. Why? And it went from 5 appointments competing with me to 10 to 15. I'll never forget. I think the last one I ever took was 25. I was number 26. And I showed up 15 minutes early as my usual spiel, right? And I walk in, knock, knock, knock. "Hey, my name is Ray Rivera." And she's like, "I'm sorry, I'm with someone. What do I have you scheduled?" And this is maybe like the 10th time this has happened, but now it's just getting worse. And I'm like, "Yes, ma'am, we had." And she goes, "I'm so sorry. Give me a second. I'll be right out with you." Closes the door on my face. And I'm thinking, oh no, this is not going to be the rest of my life.
Right.
And I saw it getting worse. And so I thought, this is a trend. Something's happening. And what's happening is they're losing the value of a good quality agent. And now they're shopping on just commission. My house is going to sell with or without you. I could almost just list it myself. And I said, a monkey could do this. This specific niche of lead generation is going to go away and or become exceptionally more competitive. And I don't know that my ROI, that's where I went to, is investment. My return on investment in this realm will reap the same reward, or if it does, it's going to consume probably a whole lot more time, energy, And I don't know that's a battle that I want to take, especially I just said, I don't know. And that's what was my aha moment. I said, I got to start exploring pivoting my business, which is super, super critical. So, yeah.
So you pivoted, there was a need for expireds at one point. I think we're getting back to that again, but you saw the shift of where like literally the owner could put the sign in the yard, it would sell like as the market shifted. So you shifted your lead generation, which makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that people who stuck with expireds, because there's a guy out, what's that guy in Alabama, that Ricky Caruth, he does a ton.
What in the world can I do to help you?
Right. Yeah. He does a ton of that still, and he didn't stop. And so, but he also does a lot of other kind of lead generation as well, but there's nothing wrong with continuing it. But for you, it was like your time of going and being the 26th person in, and them not just really valuing your time either.
People stood me up. And I had a whole process, right? Like this was my one thing. So I would go out if I really wanted this listing, and or if like example, if I had a listing that just sold in that area or nearby vicinity, or zip code I wanted to farm, I would go ahead of time, door knock the person. Even if they didn't pick up the phone, I would go door knock them. I had my little route like Popeyes, and I'll door knock. I had a folder, it was yellow envelope I would take as well. Hey, I'm so sorry, we missed. I called early today. Please don't hate me. I'm a real estate agent. I'm wondering what happened, right? Did the property sell? And then I had this whole thing about 5 top questions to ask the agent you hire. And then it on the backside had the statistics I had, which were, I'm selling at 102%. If you're going to pay an agent, why not hire the best, right? And so I had all these statistics. And when I realized that became irrelevant, I just said, this isn't good. Like, what's going on? Do I want to be here for 2 hours to get I just said, no, there's got to be an alternative. And that's when I said, where's this market? And I said, if properties are selling that fast and that well, then I need to be finding another way to still represent sellers. And so I looked at my business. I said, this is what shifted. I'm Spanish, right? I'm Hispanic. I speak Spanish. So I got into an investment world. I talked to a client and I said, why don't you renovate houses and sell them? And he said, well, I just don't have enough capital. And what I do is maybe for one house. So I said, what if I got you a lender? I met a gentleman, blah, blah, blah. And he basically said, hey, Ray, I'll do it the moment that you show me some HUDs, right? And so I said, well, I'll show you HUDs. The problem is I don't do construction. I can speak the language. I don't know my way around with a hammer. Right. And so he said, I'll do you a solid. Buy the house, I'll renovate it for a good price. And based on your ROI and your numbers, I may consider it. So I did 2 properties. We made $104,000 on 2 flips collectively net. And I showed him the HUDs and he goes, sign me up. And that just started a whole trajectory of a new way to another pillar to my business, basically.
You added value to him, but you showed him that you were willing to be in it with him and to show him that value, which I think is genius because he didn't believe in himself. So now does he do his own, or do y'all still like do partner stuff, or is that relationship?
Earlier this year, he built his dream house in Amelia on 10 acres. He owns 3 or 4 rental properties outright. He still flips just because he wants to. He was my HVAC guy and punch guy, my punch list guy. And now he's completely just financially free in 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. That has to feel good. That has to feel good that you've helped him build wealth through something that he didn't realize. And you just brought it up. Like, you're like, hey, you could do this. Now
I just want to do it a whole lot more. So that's the goal.
Right. So he's, I'm assuming, one of your investors. So you kind of built a business now around helping a lot of investors do flips or rentals. Tell us what that looks like. You're just doing the same kind of things, or are you prospecting for investors, or is it just coming by word of mouth because one person talks to the next and they know that you can do it?
I'll tell you how I was doing it versus what I'm doing now. So the way that I was doing it was, it did become word of mouth. And what I'll do is when there was someone on a site working, I would tell them, hey, by the way, I'm the real estate agent. If you ever consider getting into real estate and investing, if you've even just been curious, just want you to know that most of my clients started just like yourself. And they would say, I am interested. And then we would talk to logistics. I'll set an appointment, just go from there. So I realized that kind of like expires, right? That was my one thing. So I realized that you got to have the right script with the right avatar. And if you have the right script with the right avatar, you get better, higher results. And so I realized, who's my avatar? Well, my avatar tends to be someone that does construction already. But they may not have the knowledge and numbers, the actual acquisition, renovate. They can do renovation and the construction side, but they don't know what they should acquire for, what is it going to sell for,
ARVs, all of those things.
None of this.
Right.
So I said, that's what I'm there, right? I'm part of your dream team. You're the contractor, but you're also the investor. And if you don't have the capital, I have the contacts with the capital. So what are we doing? And then we just scaled, and then it became word of mouth. And then I just got to a point where I just couldn't take on more people. And that's why I ended up having to scale and get a little bit of a team, and that has its own challenges in itself. But of course, yeah. So that's that. Now the way I'm doing it is I've really I've leaned into it. So I've talked to a gentleman, Rob Chavez. He's an agent up in Northern Virginia. He has Grid, and I've just launched it, and it's going to be the first of its kind, where it's in English and Spanish. But because I already have I have a database of several clients and also several high-hitting investors, whether it's wholesaling or subject twos or whatever, and they're doing really, really well, but they don't speak Spanish. So what I'm doing is I'm uniting the two now, and I'm the face of it. And of course, I'm telling everyone, hey, if you don't have an agent for your dream team, please keep me in mind. And I'm even inviting agents because maybe somehow we're going to do business together. So to me now, that will be what I'm leading more into, because I'm just owning my space now. So yeah.
That's a really cool story. And, it sounds like there's a win in actually going after like your potential lead generation is to actually contractors, because they know the work. There is no margin that they're building in, because it's just what they're doing. They're just doing it anyway, but now they're doing it for themselves. And so there's even more return for them on that. And you're putting the people and yourself in place to give the numbers so it makes sense to them. So you're just educating them really, and then helping them find the deals and running the numbers on them, which is the exact investor game, right? So, but the cool thing is that if the investor is the contractor, then they're handling the whole thing. Like it's their baby. And obviously I'm sure that there is some kind of like oversight that you have to have as the agent that's going to sell it, and making sure that they're doing the right thing to get the ARV. So have you had any challenges or anything that have come with that?
Of course. it happens all the time. We try to do as best as we can to stay in touch and stay on top of it, but it does happen. And there are times where we wonder, how the heck did this happen? Like I know we had this conversation. Sometimes I even have text messages, right? And it still happens. So with that said, it's not perfect. We're always tweaking the system and the process. At the same time, it just comes with the territory. The nice thing is what we've done in the retail side of things is what we've implemented on the investor side. So we still set them up with a stager. So every time I always have my stager and designer come and meet before we even start the project. And I have an architect that we have who has floor plans. And I have contacts with electricians and plumbers and architects and engineers, and even at the city of Richmond, I have contacts. And so we've built this whole database where, what do you need? I'm your guy. Let's roll.
It's a good business model. And a lot of people, well, there are a lot of people who do investors, but you've like really taken it and really expanded upon it. And that's just, that's cool. So would you say that that's the majority of your business, or do you have other sources that that you pull from, that you cultivate as well? Because I hear the cultivation on that side, like tons of value. Is there other parts that you do, or is that your main bread and butter?
That's our main bread and butter. However, we still do Sphere. We're still big on that. So yesterday we did I think it's the 4th or 5th year we've done it. We had 110 attendees. 70 people didn't show up, but we still had 110 at the Lewis Ginter Botanical Garden. And that we still do big events. Early this year, we did one at Hardwood Brewery. We had a good turnout as well. And so we're still loving our people. We still tell them, hey, if you know of anyone looking to buy, sell, please keep us in mind. Oh, and then we tell them, oh, and by the way, we also are now teaching how to get into financial freedom, because that's not only the thing. This is what I explained. Yes, I earn, but the thing is, I'm earning 3% of 100%, right? So you're keeping 97%. And so I'm teaching how to get financially fit through real estate. And so it's an add-on, it's not a replacement. And then of course, if you know of anyone looking to buy or sell. So it's just an addition to, it just happens that the investment side is so big, but we still do SOI. We do run some ads on Facebook in Spanish, and that's also something that we just started. So we're really leaning into the Spanish market only because I'm looking at, number one, just business, right? What's our unique value proposition? What makes me different? And then also, I'm not from the area, so it's in theory, I still have to kind of cold call, except how can I warm this up instead of being so cold? And
I love that, because you're right. I mean, not everybody speaks Spanish, and there are a lot of people who do that also buy and sell homes. And, you have that niche on lockdown, and that's amazing. Like, and I know that if we came across somebody who was Spanish speaking, like, I couldn't serve them because I don't speak Spanish. And even if I took Spanish, I wouldn't be able to serve them. So like, you are that resource for agent referrals too, when there needs to be a Spanish speaking in order to serve. So I'm sure that agent referrals are also a part of your business, whether it's cultivated or not.
That's the last piece. Is we're doing a lot more agent referrals. I'm doing a lot, being, the brokerage that we have nationally and internationally. I also tell them, hey, I'm your Richmond, I'm your Virginia agent, and you already have someone. I'm sure they don't speak Spanish, so I'm your Spanish guy. And then I'm also partaking in NAREP, which is the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, and that's in DC area. And I'm telling them, right, hey, if you know of anyone looking to get certain margins, if they're looking to get more into a house at a more economical price point, we're only 2 hours south. And so I'm providing them value, and then they're providing me value, and then we're just getting referrals going through. So we're thinking outside the box, because again, I think you have to stand out. And with 6,000 of us, you need to really know where you stand.
That's awesome. So last question, because we need to wrap up. I have another one next, but what is one thing that you're doing to prepare for next year in your business that might look a little different than what you've done in the past? Just knowing that it might look different, or maybe it might actually be very fruitful for your main clientele, because they might be able to actually start getting some deals again. Is there anything that you're doing to prepare?
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, financially, we've cut overhead like crazy. We've probably cut about 45% of overhead in the last 45 days. So, it does come with tough conversations and, growing pains. We've been tweaking our processes and systems. We changed our CRM. So we went from Sierra to Brivity. That's actually getting ready to launch tomorrow, our website. We dropped our realtor.com because we weren't working it, and we went to more alternative options that are much more economical. We are also, we even cut our office slightly. We're at Gather in Midlothian, and I just said, you know what, we're not coming into the office, and I'm paying twice as much as I need to, so I'm cutting back there. And I told the team, I said, guys, I love y'all, I love everyone. At the same time, it's a business decision. So why will we have to work harder to just pay bills when we could really reinvest that? And so that's some of the stuff that we're doing on the business side. We're changing all that. We're also utilizing Trello now at a really high level for project management. We've changed roles. I have 2 VAs that work with me, different conversation, different day. And those VAs, I've changed their roles. One of them is helping me more with social media. One of them is helping me more listing management. And we would like to hire a third. And so it's just, we're changing and evolving in preparation. But we're not waiting till New Year, New Me. We're ripping Band-Aids now, so that next year it's just execution. And we're happy and ready.
Smart. You're leaning up, which is exactly what I believe a lot of people are doing. And if they're not, they should, to prepare, because we don't know what it's going to be. And hopefully it doesn't affect us very much at all. But the reality is that how we've been running in the past couple of years, very fat pockets and easy business and all of that, it could dramatically change, which you already have a good foundation for, because that's where you started. And I'm sure if you had to go back to expireds, because that's what the market is, like, Ray will be one of the ones in the driveway, like, give us a high five, Stephanie Brown. And so that's really smart. But well, thank you so much for sharing. I probably will be in touch with more stuff from you, because I'm so inspired by you, and you are literally a lead generation machine, and you're just natural at it. So I always appreciate learning from you.
You're welcome. Likewise. It's good seeing you.
Thanks,
Take care.
Ray.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.